Welcome back to We're Open. Today's guest is known for their Olympic event, forum work, and relationships with the staff. Let's see who it is. Hey Karen, thanks for joining us. What's your character's origins?
I'm a little embarrassed to say I was playing Neopets, and then it was an ad for Free Realms. So I just went on, check it out, and I hit the wheel name. My real name's on it, which is Karen. So I locked the first name, and it was honestly the first MMO I played.
Well, the ads worked. What was your guild journey? I think you were in Double Trouble and a couple others.
No, actually, Double Trouble was my first and only guild. So I was looking to join Free Realms Insiders, but they had this requirement. You had to have like 30 posts or something on the forums. And I wasn't the kind of person to just comment on stuff. Hey, that's great. Like I wanted to actually have something to say. And then here comes Double Trouble and they asked me to join them. And I thought, well, why am I jumping through hoops when these people are asking me to join? And it was just chance and luck. I ended up meeting a great group of people.
It seemed like you thrived in Double Trouble. You became an officer and even made an Olympics.
I don't know if anyone remembers in 2010, Vancouver, which is the area I'm from, hosted the Winter Olympics. And it was such a fun time in the city. So I wanted to do something like that. So I had to come up with this set of events that were somewhat competitive. I think I called it like archery or something like that. And basically you had to run up this big giant spiral staircase to the top and then jump off and land on a really small target. The other event, we drop a snowball machine and then you had to try to hit people and they were out when you got hit. And of course it was honor system, right? Because if no one saw you, you might just stay in. But that was where we had officers of Mystic Mayhem watching and they would whisper to guild member, hey, we saw that, you were out. And then the last one was, do you remember the flagpoles? They were super tall. So I had this thing where you had to bounce off a jump pad and try to land on the top of it. So we had to test all these things and then build a little arenas for them. Blake, I think, did a bunch of the building. I think it only worked because Mystic Mayhem was there and they brought a lot of people and then helped keep it running because I think by then Double Trouble was down to a really small handful of people.
The work sounds really rewarding. Animator Floyd Bishop also attended?
Yeah, he was definitely one of my favorite devs. He would pop on late in the evening. We'd just kind of hang out or do some goofy thing like tell bad jokes.
The dev team was really supportive. Speaking of events, you went to a yoga class?
This one character, Satoshi Red Beach, he made Red Beach Gym. And then he advertised, he went all over the world. And he was like, oh, come to the yoga class. We all waited outside this room and he had it blocked off. And then when it was time to start, he opened the doors, we were all in. And he had this yoga studio. And then we just all took a spot on the rugs. And then he led us through yoga. And he would just be like, okay, we'll do this emote, yawn, and that'd be a stretch. Or we do scary emote. That stretches all your face muscles. And it was really funny because I invited my guild over and they're all like, talking guild chat like, what is this? And then in the end we all got into it.
Players, including you, were truly creative. You made farm art?
One of my guildies made it look like a space invader. So I'm like, that's cool. Let's see what else we can do. At the time, Farmville was a big game. Your crops die. I don't want to be tied a slave to the game. I don't want to be a job. And they just did it right. They added the farming, but your plants didn't die. They would just grow and then you could come back and harvest them anytime.
Farming was a big hit. You were also very active in the forums?
It was definitely one of my favorite things to do. I had this thing where I role-played my character, Karen Souldancer, would be a reporter. She would go to events and then post news articles. So she goes to this fashion show and then she talks about the characters as if they're real, like in that world.
I love that. Did you form your relationships with the staff through the forums? I believe you were in contact with Steve Shaw.
I heard about this community council, I think it was called. I was like, I really want to get on that. And so I never was officially, but later on when Steve took over, towards the end of the game, we would chat. So he had this group of like an informal, the new community council. We would just chat about the game and the changes that they were bringing and what people thought about them. And it was definitely nice to have this interaction with first Pex, sometimes Floyd.
You seem to have had a great connection with Floyd. He even featured your piano on his YouTube.
Yeah, so when they released these music blocks, they only came in like certain notes, like do, re, mi, and you couldn't get any of the sharps or flat. But I did the Star Wars theme. And then Floyd pops in game because it's a new release. I say, hey, come look at this. He goes, oh, I've got all the Clone Wars devs standing behind me at my desk. I tried to do fancier things. Like I tried to do chopsticks where you'd put the blocks in the V and you would be standing on both of them. But it was a lot harder.
In addition to Floyd, you sent a thank you card to the late Edwin Roselle. How did you find out about him and how did you come up with the idea?
I actually honestly can't remember how I found out. But a part of the thing about MMOs, these aren't just pixels walking around. There's real people behind them. And it was definitely a game that we all really enjoyed. I guess I just want to show our appreciation for it. A huge part of it was the art. So we had Google Docs. So I just made a link and invited everyone to edit it.
It was such a thoughtful idea. You also sent a thank you card to the Free Realm staff when they announced its closing.
The game was ending. I got through the shock of that and just wanted to let all the people know that had worked on it, how much we appreciate it. So I hope it reached enough of the staff.
That must have felt cathartic for players to write as well. What have you been up to since Free Realms?
Gaming-wise, it's just a little bit of Guild Wars 2 and Villagers and Heroes. In the winters, I work full-time as a ski instructor. And then in the summers, contracts for testing software.
You really keep busy. What are your thoughts on FRS?
I'm definitely going to check it out. I was a little bit skeptical at the beginning. Can you get this done? Can you reverse engineer this? But it's been really impressive.
Until then, we hope to see you in game, perhaps even host another Olympics. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to thank Karen so much for joining us. Subscribe to stay updated on our next guest.